Hey gang, Ronan here. This is this is I think my third game in the Holland. First game I had was really good, and the second not so good. I did okay, but the team just completely fell apart early. Um, so I play my third game, and it's pretty rough. Pretty rough lineup. There's no CV, which I was a little disappointed in, honestly. I played 2 games in Holland, the one that I mentioned that didn't go all that well, and then this one, and neither of them had a CV, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing whether or not this ship could be effective for me against a CV in terms of dissuading the CV player from wanting to get anywhere near this ship. But instead, no CV, which worked out great. But you can see there on the enemy lineup, Des Moines, Petropavlovsk, and Minotaur. Now, maybe the Mino is smoke, maybe the Mino is radar, but however you cut it, that's a fair amount of radar and a fair amount of threat to a DD. So, I played very conservatively to begin with, and I think that ultimately was probably the right decision. Very often there will be a radar cruiser that will post up. Well, you can see the Bravo there on the main screen. To the right of that island, a lot of times there'll be a radar cruiser that'll just post up right there, and then he's safe from fire, really from either side if he does it right. And then there'll be another radar cruiser that will post up like at Echo 7, just north of the other island. And in a lot of cases, if they're really good, they're going to be positioned where they can hit DDs when they light them up, and it's just a big threat. So anyway, I didn't get close. You can see I'm already turned out, and I threw torpedoes into the gap, essentially in order to catch a DD. But you can see on the mini map right now where the Shimakaze's at, where the Kleber's at, and where the Gearing's at. So there's no DD here. There's just the Des Moines threat. And I have to say, I'm so glad this game loaded up. The last few days I've had 6 replay files on my desktop that I've been trying to get recorded, and I can't get any of them to load beyond the lineup screen, the initial screen. It never gets to the game. I can, if I wait long enough, I can see ships moving on the minimap. So I'm not sure whether there was a micro patch or just what exactly happened there, but I haven't been able to get any of those others that were really good games, and of course not all of them were mine. You can see I've got torpedoes coming here I'm going to need to angle against. So I'm really bummed that some other ICOPs sent me some really great games, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get them recorded because I can't get the replays to load. Anyway, back to this game. Both sides are now down a ship. We've lost to Des Moines. The enemy team has lost to Kleber. And I'm just going to throw torps into that gap again. You can see the blue circle on the mini-map represents the range of these torpedoes. And I've been playing with while we have the ability, I've been playing with the commander skills, trying to come up with what will ultimately be most effective. And then I'm recording them, and then I think I'm going to reset everything ahead of the return to being charged for making these changes, and then see what some of my favorite community contributors have to say about setting up various ships. I've got, I think, 223 ships in my port right now. I love to collect them. I have a lot of premiums, the vast majority of which I've won. Wargaming give a lot of ships away, and I've been doing this for years. But I don't want to, set up commanders on 223 ships and then find out that they're going to, which I understand now they are going to be making some changes, and then have to do it all again, only this time it's going to cost money. So that's what I encourage anybody playing this game to do, is don't set your commanders to anything permanent until you're really sure that's what you want. I did leave a gap in the middle there, but I think Des Moines is probably going to accelerate forward and get back behind that island, and he's already doing it. Well, he's doing it by reversing. He's going to keep his nose to my torpedoes. But you can see where my indicator's going. It's heading back behind that island. And as is so often the case when you're playing a DD, an intelligent player on the other side, if they have some idea where the torpedoes are coming from, they're going to be able to angle up. They're going to create a very narrow profile, and then they can just zip right between the torpedoes, which is what he's doing right now. But I've got him lit, and I'm out of radar range, and I'm exhorting in particular our Yamato, hey, can you please pace this guy? You can say I'm working really hard to try and stay out of torpedo range, but here's the thing. If I keep going to keep my distance away from him, I'm going to get behind this island and not be able to throw these torpedoes out in 10 seconds. So I'm going to risk getting into, there it is, the radar range. But, fortunately for me, his radar wore off. And now this is a narrow thing here. I'm going to probably have to reverse a little bit, but I'm going to make use of what cover I can. Meanwhile, the enemy team has lost Shimakaze, and we lost our Conqueror. Can I catch the Des Moines here? We're going to find out. Just distracting him. Did land one torpedo, no flood, which is pretty disappointing, but I'm sure that either the Zhao or the Yamato will be able to finish him. And it's the Zhao that takes him out. And I was able to accelerate and get out of harm's way using the island as cover. Now I can see on the mini-map that there is a Kremlin right there. In a direct line between me and the crew first, there is a Kremlin, and I don't want to get spotted by him. You can see I did there very briefly, and I'm making use of this island. I'm going to accelerate away from him, get a little bit out of range, so that he can't spot me immediately. And I'll have torps back up in a couple seconds. Now he's angled perfectly, and he's reversing. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to hit him or not, but I'm certainly going to, just by being here, convince him it would be a bad idea to accelerate. And it's not only that I'm here. He's got a Yamato, a Thunderer, and a Zhao. And if he's been paying attention at all, he knows they're there. Now our Gearing is over there by himself. He's facing off, you can see him right now. He's at, Echo 2. Facing off with an enemy Gearing and a Minotaur, and I'm sure he's taking a lot of fire. I don't expect him to last long here. What tipped me off to make sure I needed to pay attention to that was I was watching our Thunderer fall back. And I'm sure he didn't want to get squeezed between the Minotaur and the enemy Yamato. Down goes the Gearing. The enemy Yamato that's pushing into the Bravo cap right now. So right now we are down 6 ships. The enemy is down only 5, but we're really not in that bad a position, despite the fact that the enemy has a cap and has ships in 2 others, and we are not in position to cap right now. What we are, at least in my opinion, is in a position to be able to really focus our fire. You can see we've got Zhao, Thunder, and Yamato all in one position, and Amito and Montana in another. And I'm kind of central to all of that. As long as I can keep from getting detected, I should be able to make good use of my torpedoes. This Kremlin is not going to just rush out there. And he's obviously reversing, so I'm going to drop torpedoes basically in the line that I expect his ship to be in at the time they arrive. Now these are really fast torpedoes. Yeah, I'm just going to sit here. It's only a minute and they're going to be back up. So in case he survives this, I'll be in position to throw some more torpedoes or maybe to catch the Yamato. Looks like I'm going to get him with 4 here. Just barely missed on the nose. And that looks about as good as it gets right there. And down he goes. And because I landed enough torpedoes, I activated one of Jerzy Swirsky's skills, which means even a faster torpedo reload. And Yamato is pushing forward. I've got torpedoes back up now in 10 seconds, and I will throw torpedoes that way. He knows I'm here, or probably expects that I'm still in this area. So he's kind of pushed into the position. Does he push straight forward, directly south, and probably eat a whole bunch of torpedoes, or does he angle against the likelihood of torpedoes and show broadside to Thunderer, Yamato, and Zhao? So if I don't get him with torps, it's probably because he's angled, and if he's angled, which you can see that he is right now angling, if he's angled, it's probably going to lead to him getting plastered, taking shots into his broadside. And now the door's open for me to push into Charlie. Now we're still down by 150 points, but we have 5 ships, the bad guys have 5 ships, and I think we're in a much better position. Now I'm sure the gearing is racing south and east in order to try to get, yeah, you can see him, he's right there with Yamato now, to try to get to the point where he can slow down the Yamato, Zhao, and Thunderer and try and help his Yamato. But we've still got 3 ships there. They've only got 2. The Mino is probably heading that way, but he's not going to want to get spotted in open water against those really big shells, so he's probably having to wait for his smoke. Now, I'm probably going to get spotted here. And I have to guess, is he going to... yeah, there's some, so you can see I'm spotted, but I've got 4 heels, so I'm not feeling too bad about that. Only threw 1 set of torpedoes. I'm just going to get out of sight, and I can throw the other set of torpedoes. Oh, that was close. Still caught him with 1. There was a flood, so if I can hit him with another one and get a flood, it'll last a while. I'm anticipating he's going to turn north and try to angle, because if he's paying attention, he will know that only 1 set came out. And I'll distract him, try and get him to turn north. I want to make sure I can land another torpedo, and in the meantime, maybe I get lucky and start a fire. Now, I did start a fire, but you can see that he's turning east. Yamato, thank goodness Yamato, takes out the gearing. So I've got a fire on this guy, and I do land another torpedo. So he's burning and he's flooding. That's 13 torpedo hits if you're counting. And now we have a 4-ship to 2-ship advantage. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you've heard me say this on more than one occasion, and I really do believe it. When you're playing a DD, it is very fun. It's a big adrenaline rush to try to get in early and use your torpedoes early and really catch people off guard. But I believe that it is much more important. He really juked me here. He went ahead and he just turned north. He's gonna head the other way, so none of those torpedoes are gonna land, but I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that he's only got rear guns to try to get another fire started. And I'm gonna be heading toward this gap here, so I have a place to hide if he does get all his guns back on me. I've got 30 seconds to more torpedoes. So to finish the thought I had a moment ago, I think in most games it's a lot more important to survive to the mid-game and late game. And that's where your torpedoes are really going to shine if you're playing a torpedo boat. Took a little bit of damage, going to just roll behind the island here. And now I'm invisible again. And now I can secure this cap from safety. Even if he were to turn and run straight at me. Between myself with torpedoes and that Thunderer, he's in a really bad spot. It looks like he's going to try and run for that island. But with torpedoes this fast, I don't think he has much of a chance here. Meanwhile, our Zhao and Yamato are chasing the enemy Mino, just distracting him. If he changes course, his ship slows down. If his ship slows down, more of my torpedoes are going to land. And right back into cover. Make sure the cap doesn't get reset. We're still down 150 points, more or less. And that's going to be it for him.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Now, there's not a whole heck of a lot I'm going to be able to do here because it looks like that Mino is going down. But this was a very fun game to play. This is a fantastic ship. If you haven't tried this line, I really recommend it. And this is really just going to take a very short period of time. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.